I'm really excited for this one. I know I say that kind of a lot, but it's been a while since I've done an archetype. And so we're going to do one of my very, very favorite archetypes. And it's an archetype that I myself am working on stepping into. So I'm especially excited to talk about it today because it's been so deeply on my mind and I've really been studying this one. And it is the archetype of the guide. Sometimes people will speak of this when they say the archetype of the sage or even the archetype of the crone. The guide is someone who has learned often the hard way. The guide so we're going to go into the light first. And really, this is a very light archetype for the most part. A lot of the people who have this archetype stay mostly in the light with it. So often have learned the hard way. Can be seen sort of as an old soul. But they teach through example and through wisdom. This is about someone who really understands the nature of this realm. The guide is someone who is down to earth, who has their own life together to the point where people can look at them and say, oh, this actually works. The guide is somebody who walks their talk, who does their personal work, and has most likely, always, been doing their personal work, usually for many, many years. So the guide is the person that you can look at, that you can kind of look up to and say, whoa, they know what they're talking about. They've been down in the trenches, living life and learning these lessons and understanding, eternal laws. Again, they understand cause and effect. They understand the nature of this realm to the point where they're able to ask the right questions. They're able to engage in deep and profound conversations that help the people around them see their own answers. The guide is not the person who's going to say, I have all your solutions. I have a one-size-fits-all. That's not the nature of this archetype. But they are the person that has been there, and so they can sit with you and pull out of you your own wisdom. Can you kind of feel this one? A lot of times people that do end up stepping into the guide archetype do it a little bit later in life, if not way later in life. Very rarely have I seen someone who is a guide in their 20s or really even 30s. It doesn't mean it's impossible. And sometimes actually children can have guide energy, but it comes from a different place. It's more of a being that people feel inspired when they're around them. For someone to step fully into the guide usually happens a little bit later and comes with practice. Again, you got to understand this one is so down to earth. This is the person who has not just focused only on the spiritual realms. Often this is also the person who has, created some real stability in this realm, who is someone who is able to balance out the practical and the spiritual in a way that is inspiring and very workable. Often I'm thinking right now of the guide archetypes I know. They're often very, very practical people who also understand that spirituality is vital, is essential. Like there's more to life than just what we see with our eyes and what we hear with our ears. They just understand that, and they're able to lead people. In the light, they will be leading very lovingly and very honoring of your free will, of your choices, non-judgmental. Okay, so that's the guide in the light. So what's the guide in the shadow? Well, there are a couple of shadows of the guide. One is the judgmental piece, where it's like, well, you're stupid for doing it that way. You've got to stop doing that. Forcing their ideas and opinions onto people. The main shadow of the guide that I have witnessed is basically ego, is an inflated sense of importance. Like, it kind of goes a little bit with the Messiah, the shadow of the Messiah, like a Messiah complex. Follow me. I am the one with the answers. So when a guide's in the light, they know that you have your own answers and they're just there to help draw them out. But when the guide is in the shadow, they will think they have the answers for you. Okay? So there'll be some control, some ego. If you hear language where you feel very judged or you feel like they have a one size fits all, that's not the light of the guide. Another shadow of the guide is overcharging for their wisdom. So this would be the people that are like, oh, it's $50,000 to do my coaching program, right? It doesn't mean that people cannot charge a living wage, like a decent amount of money for what they do. But when it puts you into financial distress to work with them, that's the shadow of the guide. So all guides have wisdom, and many guides have a measure of success in their own lives. But you really got to pay attention to that shadow and that light. I have witnessed with my own eyes guides who are in the shadow do tremendous harm and really make people doubt themselves, make people more fearful, make people beholden to them, especially financially, and there is no integrity in that. But when the guide is in the light, it's so beautiful. At the end of the day, they're the people you want to be around. You crave to be around, just their energy. They just help you feel so good about yourself. They give hope. They give inspiration. The guide can also be someone, they can often be charismatic, engaging, just somebody that you really want to follow. And I don't mean follow like a cult, although a lot of cult leaders have the guide in the shadow. But the person that you just go, I just love being around you, and I love the way that you make me feel about myself. I love the hope that I have when I'm around this person. So if this is something that is like, oh my word, I think I might have that, then some of the questions to ask yourself are, is this something I'm going to grow into? What do I need to do to work on my own personal life to the point where I can be an inspiration for others? Because I will tell you right now, you cannot fake this one. I have seen quite a few people, like in the coaching world and the speaking world, put themselves out there like they are this, but if you are not, it will be seen through immediately. Because you're either inspiring or you're not, and it's either sustainable or it isn't. For deep wisdom, it is not temporary. It is not superficial. It goes all the way down and it changes people's lives. And that wise message will be the same, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, meaning eternal truths don't shift all the time. Now, the message that's needed today may be different. But really, if you are seeking out working with a guide, look at the person who's going to be very consistent, right? Very down to earth. Their energy is going to be usually very gentle in a way. Doesn't mean they can't be huge truth speakers, but very consistent, very stable. It's interesting talking about these archetypes because they have a feeling to them, a flavor to them, a scent to them. So it's difficult sometimes to put into language, but hopefully I did a good enough job that you can feel into it and sense what that is. Okay, I love this one. I'm so excited. I'm really, like I said myself, I'm really working on this one, getting the rest of my own personal incongruencies handled so that I can show up in the world the way that I'm most meant to. I love you guys so much. May your coffee be strong and your life be blessed. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps these important messages get out there. If you would like more messages and more videos, I have a membership site for every single weekday. Come check it out, coffeewithdawni.com.